In this lesson, we are going to be learning about measuring tools and using data and how to put that data into tables and charts. So our desired result is to learn how to accurately measure mass, length, volume, temperature, and time using the appropriate instruments for the lab, and to be able to organize and interpret measurements in tables and charts. So why do we learn this? We learn this because in our future lives, you may need this to cook by following recipes, or as a student, you need to learn how to use the tools properly in the lab. So on our next slide, we're going to be looking at the instruments of measurement. And these are simple instruments that allow you to take measurements while conducting scientific research. And remember, scientific research does not always have to relate back directly to the classroom. It could be something that you are testing, a question that you've come up with in your own home that you want to find an answer to. That is scientific research. So when we talk about measurement, we are talking about rulers, and the measurement scientific unit is going to be meter. Okay, so you would be measuring things in centimeters, meters, millimeters, different measurements of the ruler. Then we have the thermometer over here for temperature. And in the scientific community, temperature is measured either in Celsius or in what is called Kelvin. Kelvin has a much broader spectrum. For, as you see, 0 Kelvin is equivalent to a negative 273 Celsius. So Kelvin is used for very, very hot, very, very cold substances. Next, we have volume. Volume is measured using a graduated cylinder, and we're going to learn that in that graduated cylinder, there is a dip in the fluids. And that dip kind of looks like a smiling face, is called a meniscus. And we'll be talking about that shortly. If we want to measure mass, remember mass is different than weight, we are going to use a balance or a scale. Okay, and the correct units for mass would be grams. And lastly, the last unit of measure that we're going to talk about is time. Time is just the standard time that everyone uses, so hours, minutes, seconds. So here we see an example on the right-hand side of, this is a measuring tape, and we're measuring a paper clip. So to take accurate measurements, rulers, graduated cylinders, and thermometers all use large and small lines to help you reach an accurate measurement. Here are the steps that you should follow in order to get that accurate measurement. So first you're going to identify the units of the large lines. So we're looking at the 3, the 2, and the 1 that's underneath here. So in this instance, we're measuring in inches. Then we're going to count the small lines between each pair of large lines. And this number will tell you the units of the small lines. So start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So because we counted 9 lines, those lines represent 1/10 of the large unit. So let's take a look at where our paperclip falls. It falls right there. Okay, so we're going to find and record the nearest large line smaller than our object. Well, we know 3 is too high, so we're going to look at the 2. Okay, so we're going to write that down, 2. Then we need to line up the nearest small line to our paperclip. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our paperclip lines up with 8. So the length would be 2.8 inches. To accurately measure liquids, again remember, liquids in a graduated cylinder form the curve called the meniscus. It's like a smiley face, okay? And we're going to use the bottom part of that meniscus to measure the volume. Units in a graduated cylinder are going to be milliliters. And you see that the large lines, in this instance, are groups of 1. So 20, 21, 19. You have 9 lines in between each whole number. So again, they're going to be 1/10 of the large line. So each of those are just going to be a 1/10 of. So if our meniscus fell here, then it would be 20.8. Okay. In this image, since our meniscus falls right on this line here, then 20 is our correct measurement. When you have data, you can practice making and reading charts. So that will help you when you go to record your measurement accurately. So some things to remember when you are making a useful data table. Number 1, always have a title or heading to explain your table. So table 1 or weekly data table, however you are naming it. Then you want to label the rows and columns clearly. So here is your column title, and then the letters are your row titles. And then lastly, which is not on this particular table, but you want to make sure to list the units of your measurement. So if this is activities that you completed, then letter A could be representative of jumping jacks. So total number of jumping jacks. B could be lengths of the swimming pool that you swam, and so on. When you are reading a data table, first thing you want to read is the title. Figure out what the table is talking about. So in this instance, we have salt concentration and light transmittance. Then we have even further identification where the transmittance is in percent and the concentration is down the left side, and that is also in percent. And then in this particular example, there were 5 trials that they recorded data for. So at this point, you should have an idea on how to accurately measure mass, length, volume, temperature, and time using those specific instruments, and be familiar with how to organize and interpret measurements in tables and charts.